July 27th, 2024. If it's 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I'm your host, Downtown Donnie Browne. We're coming to you live, local, and remote. I'm in Bloomington, Minnesota, where my daughter's team, the ESA Waukesha Suffragettes U14 softball team, are competing in the NAFA, the National Tournament, softball. And, of course, we're also with you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne there in the WAUK Radio Studios, and right around the corner from Theodore Yelman's Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And there, manning the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne, is my faithful producer, the mighty Max Martinson. Max, how are you today?
I am doing great. This is the first time I've ever done one of these remotely, so got everything
they're
set
fun.
up, and it seems to be working okay so far. So
yeah, you're doing a great job putting that together. Thank you. My guest this morning is also there in studio, Kristin Oakley, a Waukesha writer and writing instructor, talking about her genre of thrillers and dystopian themes and other projects. Kristin, how are you this morning?
I'm great. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
It sure is. Yes, thanks for doing this too. Appreciate it. So, as I mentioned, Kristin is today's guest, so she'll be the primary subject of our show. But also on the agenda, we'll touch on the Paris Olympics that opened last night. I don't know if either of you caught the opening ceremonies. Thought it was lovely, pretty interesting with the boats, instead of in a Coliseum. We'll be doing acting locally, thinking globally, and the fact that this national softball tournament is played on public parks, diamonds. Same here, and also when we were in Kansas City last week, that I think there's just so many moments, opportunities to pause and take a look and see what Waukesha could do to replicate something like this and draw more people in from around the country and, well, even around the world. We'll also be talking about the Carroll Minute and the free counseling services they have through August 22nd. And then, of course, we should be getting 2 farmers market reports this morning, Max. I don't know who's there manning the market for us today, but I guess it'll be a nice surprise. And then city news throughout the show. And want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, download the Civic Media app. That includes you too, Kristin Oakley. That way you can take WAUK Radio, all the great programming, including This Week in Waukesha, with you wherever you go. Even here in Minnesota, I had some of the softball parents download the Civic Media app last night. And there's also, when you're traveling, it's a great companion, especially if you're Brewers fans. If you're doing any vacationing in the Northwoods before school starts, you can catch all the Brewers action on 98.3. I believe that's Rock Falls, Max. Yeah, the country 98Q, it's also known as, and primarily plays country music, but they give you the Brewers on the radio there. So another great reason to have the Civic Media app. So let's get started. Kristin, thanks so much again for joining us. I have here in reviewing your bio that you had your first book published in 2009. It was called Carpe Diem, Illinois. And it won the 2014 Chicago Writers Association Book of the Year Award. Very impressive. And then you had a sequel called God on Mayhem Street, which was a finalist in the 2018 Winning Writers Northbrook Street Prize. I think that's another great accolade. And then you started, or you had you have a young adult dystopian novels. And there was a Devil Particle series. I believe that was in... the Devil Particle, the initial offering was released in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And then later that year, book 2, The Vessel, was released. And then your final 2 books are expected to be out, The Runner and the Renegade, in 24 and 25, respectively. I'd have to say, it's quite a resume. How'd you do it?
Good question. Well, I've always written my whole life, and I always thought I'd write a novel sometime. And finally, my daughters, I homeschooled my 2 daughters. I understand Max was homeschooled too. So yay team homeschool. And they finally became, high school age and more independent. And I thought, okay, now it's time to write that first book. And what would that book be about? And that summer, I was listening to Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, wow.
In the car. And I thought,
sure.
Why is it that novels tend to show future societies as dystopians,
Yeah.
and why not create a society that's better, an improvement over ours rather than worse? And of course,
Yes.
Bradbury was making a point, but I thought, let's do something more optimistic. And then what would
Uh,
that be? What would that society look like? And so I thought, well, that's easy. I unschooled my two daughters, which is child-led learning, and it would be an unschooling
okay.
community where everybody unschooled. And so that's when I came up with the
Really?
idea and started writing the novel Carpe Diem, Illinois, and it actually came out in 2014. I started writing it in 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just took off from there. And I didn't know it was going to be a sequel until I wrote the last line. I'm what they call a pantser.
Uh,
I write from the seat of my pants. Or a
love
discovery
that.
writer. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen until I write it. Yeah,
Oftentimes that's the best writing is when you're just kind of chronicling and reporting
right.
on either what's going on in your imagination or what you're witnessing. Is that's fair to say?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific. And so, Carpe Diem, Illinois. Are you from Illinois, or did you live there at one time like I did?
Yes, I did. Lived in
Okay.
Freeport. I don't know if you're familiar with Freeport, directly
I
south
am.
of
Where is that
Madison.
again, though? I lived in Evanston in Arlington
Okay,
Heights.
this is
So
north.
north.
Yeah, this is north, closer on the way to Galena. So Highway
Oh,
20. Yeah, very north.
okay.
Yeah,
So kind of northwest then. Okay.
right.
All right. That's how I know it.
Yeah, lived there for about 10 years and then moved to Rockford. Was in Rockford for a few years before
There you
moving
go.
to Madison. And
Okay.
now I'm in Waukesha, which I'm very excited to be in
Sure.
Waukesha.
And how long have you been here in the Shaw?
I've been here since May of last year.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a newbie.
So I'm a fellow transplant. I've been here 12 years, but I've been in the Milwaukee area maybe a total of 15, 17. I lose track of dates, but I mean, to me, it's home. We really, our family built our life here, and the kids had a great experience so far in Waukesha schools. My youngest will be entering Waukesha South in, I guess it's less than a month now, or somewhere in that neighborhood. But we couldn't be thrilled with the life that we have here. How do you like Waukesha?
I love it. I do. I really do. So I got
Terrific.
an apartment on the top floor of the Bridgewalk Apartments, the brand new apartments across from the fire station. And
Oh, very cool.
I walked here this morning. I love living downtown. I walked
Yeah.
by them setting up the farmers market. It's just such a quaint. There's first of all, there's so much going on in this little town, but
Thanks,
it's so
Max. Yeah.
quaint. It's just wonderful to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's people forget it's a college town. It's our state's oldest college town, and that adds a lot of variety. It's a very diverse city. There's always something going on. What? Why did you move to Waukesha? If you don't mind
So
these loaded
yeah,
questions.
no, that's I figured. I figured that's a good question. So my sister has lived in New Berlin for forever, and with
Nice.
her kids and her husband, and now her kids are older, and one lives in New Berlin, the other one lives in West Dallas. I have two daughters. My older daughter actually lives in was it Riverwalk Apartments, the big with the red roof. She and her
Oh,
husband and new baby, and my new
oh,
grandma.
congratulations.
Thank you. They lived there. They moved because she's a music therapist at the VA in Milwaukee. And
Oh,
so
cool.
they moved from Madison to Waukesha. And
Okay.
then my younger daughter was going to UW Milwaukee, studying, getting a second degree in costume design.
Oh, nice.
And so she was here. So everybody was here. And then my mother was living in Madison, and I was living not too far from her in Madison. And we decided to move her into assisted living in St. Camilla's in Brookfield.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
so
Okay.
that's my whole family. We have a very small family. That's the whole family. I thought, okay, I need to move over here too. So moved right down the street from my daughter and son-in-law. My son-in-law was, yeah, go for it. That's fine. It wasn't
That's
too,
great.
yeah. And haven't looked back. I really, really
Sure.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, it's just great to hear. Our parent company, Civic Media, is headquartered in Madison, and Madison's attracted people from all over. Sage Weil, our CEO and I guess co-founder, came from California and came to Madison. His wife had a very attractive opportunity in the medical community there, and and usually the same thing here. You hear kids leaving and graduating, they're going to Madison, or they're going that's a great. It's really neat to hear about people migrating back or migrating to Waukesha. Because I think a lot of the benefits that it has, akin to Madison. I mean, I won't dare compare, Waukesha to a Big Ten city like Madison, but there's some nice flavors for our smaller city that I think really make it attractive. And the fact that we're close to Milwaukee, we're not a bad ride from Chicago.
Right, all of
It's got
that.
so many advantages. And I
It's
imagine for a writer too, there's great fodder, great material.
It is. Well, and then the last time I lived downtown in a city was Madison, and I was in college. And I feel like a college kid again. I walk out my door, I go to the Steaming Cup. That's my favorite
Love the
lattes.
cup.
They
Yeah.
have the best chai lattes in the world, seriously. So I go there. I mean,
That's fair.
Eve at Martha Merrill's bookstore is wonderful. I mean, the
Yeah.
Friday Night Lives.
Yeah.
It's just so much happening in this little town that it's been wonderful. I love the trains too. I didn't realize my dad was a train person, and if he had known, they might have wanted to
My
live
mom's
here.
family worked in the railroad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's an interesting point. Mostly for most people, the train's a big annoyance, especially
Right.
when I've run into it twice a day. Once there were quite a few too many stretches, but there is something magical about railroad and the history. Its ties to our heritage and my family's ties, especially.
Yeah.
We worked on my mother's family when they came from Ireland during the famine, worked for the railroads for generations.
Wow.
So it'd be neat if there was a way to capture that somehow, or to I know it's because it's all business, it's all cargo that's being shipped through there, and we don't have a train station anymore. But it would be neat to figure out a way to capture the magic that we have this regular transport going through
Right.
on the railroad.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, it gives you great ideas for another book tied to the railroad.
Definitely.
So I know
Somebody's going to hop on that train, right?
I have a few concepts. Yeah. So the conversation is going to continue here with author Kristin Oakley. And as she knows too, part of this is she's going to be giving me some coaching because I'm a writer, but I haven't had anything published like Kristin. I have a ways to go before I can call myself a peer of Kristin's. But I really look forward to seeing some tips she has for me and for other aspiring writers here on This Week in Waukesha, Saturday morning, July 27th. On WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, The Shaw. And don't forget to download the Civic Media app.
The world is waiting for the sun rising. My heart is calling you.
You're listening This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, and the Civic Media app. And we're also listening to Waukesha's favorite son, Les Paul with Mary Ford. And are we waiting for the sun to rise there in Waukesha, Kristin and Max, or is the sun already out and shining on us like it is here in the cities?
The sun is bright and up today. It was really annoying on my drive in, I'll be completely honest, because
Yep.
it was reflecting off of all the buildings in downtown Milwaukee. But yeah, it is most certainly out today.
It's cool,
Good.
though. It was like 59 when I walked over.
It is out here. The mornings have been cool. We've been very lucky because Minnesota, like we were in Kansas last week, and in Kansas is normally very hot in the summer, but we got very lucky with the weather especially for girls playing softball because it's always like 10 or 15 degrees hotter on the diamond, and all the diamonds they play on are all sand. So, but time for acting locally, thinking globally, and through these travels the last couple weeks, I've seen these local areas, mostly suburban or smaller cities like Waukesha, hosting national events and bringing in families from all around the region and I think even the country here. And the games are being played on really nice diamonds that have been groomed really well. In fact, one was recently renovated, and the coach is here as we see Coach Jeff Jensen walk by, one of the assistants for our ESA team. Good morning, Jeff. Got to have you on after you eat. So, but point being is that these are public parks that these games are being played on, meaning that the cities are getting a nice bite of the pie, especially in the local businesses too. We've been to so many breweries and restaurants here, and so it's a huge spike for these local economies. And the big question is, this is what we should be thinking about in Waukesha. I know the previous city administrator, Kevin Laner, had worked really hard about trying to get a minor league baseball team in it, but also a youth baseball component. Because I think he saw in areas like in Boston and out in the west in the state, they've got a wonderful baseball, softball facility with hotels and restaurants surrounding it. And now, granted, that footprint allowed for something, a development of something like that ambitious. But for us here in Waukesha, we have a 42-acre park space that's got to be developed for a park as part of the pumping station being put in the old Nike missile base. And my point is that we have an opportunity with that space to develop a similar concept where there's hardball and softball diamonds, indoor facilities for softball, baseball, other sports, and take another step and have a hospitality component, a banquet room, a bar, facility, and you could be hosting a wide range of different events, especially around this $18 billion youth sports industry. You've heard me in previous shows be very critical about what's going on with youth sports and how it's the new Jim Crow for sure, given the expense of participating in these sports. But I think, again, for the city of Waukesha, there's an opportunity to redevelop a rec program where kids can afford to be playing baseball clubs and softball clubs, and we're getting more inclusion. But more importantly, we're also getting big revenue spikes in the city by hosting tournaments of this kind. And there's other sports too. I mean, we see how much pickleball has grown. And so I know the city's working on a strategic plan, and I do believe that old Rempe, they have to develop it soon, I would think, as required by federal law. And so I'm urging everyone to, go to the next city council meeting. It's the first Tuesday in August. Talk to your alders, call your alders up, and ask about that space. And if you have ideas, we're taking your calls in the Civic Media app, and it's really easy to do. Download the Civic Media app, go to WAUK, and just click on the phone icon. And I would love to hear your ideas about that. But I think it's if there's one benefit to these tournament travels, is you get to see what other communities are doing and how they're cashing in. And I'll certainly have some photos and other maybe metrics to present when I give public comment at a next city council meeting. So, and back to my guest, Kristin Oakley. Have you taken advantage of our wonderful park system in the year that you've been here?
Well, we've been to Manuka quite a few times.
That's a county park, but it's still Waukesha. Yeah, no, we like Manuka.
Okay, yeah.
And the beer garden there is fun, the tap
beer
yard.
garden. And I have a grand puppy, so a golden retriever, we bring her over there and loves the pond. So I've been there quite a bit. I did not go to the county fair this year. I heard that's really, the Waukesha County Fair is pretty amazing, and we didn't get a chance to go there.
Yeah, we had just gotten back from Kansas City late on Saturday, and then we were invited the next day, but we had too much going on with other obligations. I hope that it went well. I think there's that space again. I think there's so much potential to develop another kind of a business district or an entertainment district, if you will, with some restaurants, bars, hotels, so that in addition to county fair, you could have other events year round in that space. And again, it could be another kind of a second or third downtown for Waukesha, or at least just be another really cool kind of a neighborhood concept where we're drawing in some money. So, but yeah, no, we'll have to get you out to some of the city parks. Again, and great material for your books with some of the really cool parks that we have here in Waukesha. So we'll be working on that, talking about that later.
Good.
Yeah. So, but you do like to walk, as you mentioned. You walked here to the studio from your apartment.
Yes, that's right. And I walk out to the cemetery. I've seen Les Paul's gravesite out there.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk. Yeah, I'm on the cemetery commission, and I've really learned a lot about that. We'll have to take you over to Little Lord Fauntleroy's grave too. Great, tragic and sad, but also kind of an inspiring story about how this young orphan boy was. Kids send little toys and they put it on his gravestone, and it's a really neat Waukesha tradition.
Okay.
That I've participated in on a couple occasions, but they also too, the Friends of the Cemetery, do wonderful hay rides with a kind of a history tour through the cemetery.
Well,
and believe it or not, that was in the summer. That was a place they would have picnics there and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I can believe that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
very
beautiful
pretty.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and again, with the history of Waukesha too, I think there's great opportunities. We'll have to connect you with Josh Hughes, who's been on my show twice. He leads the ghost tours in Waukesha. He
Oh,
kind of owns
very cool.
it's a franchise, and he owns a Waukesha franchise, and he's very passionate about the paranormal. And Waukesha does have a paranormal and UFO history,
Oh,
and so I think there
fun.
may be some synergies there in getting you and Josh together.
Okay, good.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that'll be true. How are we doing on time here, Mr. Max? Okay, so
Well, I also walk up to the university, which is one of the prettiest campuses for that size of a university. It's just
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah, they
Sure.
keep the grounds beautiful, the flowers, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that. Carol does do a nice job, and many of those houses you see are part of those beautiful historic homes are part of the university. When I was on the council, I got invited to an open house at Dr. Cindy Nattinger's house. That was really nice. So, but we're going to continue the conversation here with author Kristin Oakley here on This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM. And if you're an aspiring writer or just want to learn how to write better, we'd love to hear your questions for Kristin, again, using the Civic Media app. And if you haven't already, download it so you can take it with you anywhere you go and stay in tune with what's going on here, not only in the Shaw, but all around Scotty.
The sunrise, every little rosebud is covered with dew, and my heart is calling for you. The thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling, and my heart is calling you. Total blam blam. She said she had to squeeze it, but she wouldn't let you. Oh, don't lean on me, man, 'cause you can't afford the ticket. Back from Suffragette City. Oh, don't lean on me, man, 'cause you ain't got time to check it. No, my Suffragette City was out of sight. She's all right.
UK. And we're coming to you live, local and remote. I'm in Bloomington, Minnesota. And there in the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne in studio is the mighty Max Martinson and my guest, Kristin Oakley. Thanks again to both of you for making this possible. And there in the suffragette city, as you hear from the David Bowie song, and I think very much, Waukesha goes by many nicknames. Guitar Town, USA is another favorite. The Spring City, of course, which again, there are some great themes there from the Springs era, Kristin, you could explore for your writing. And then, of course, I like calling Waukesha the Suffragette City because of the legacy of Theodora Youmans, and we honor her park on every show, right? Or that little postage stamp park there in front of the Rotunda. But she was, do you know who Theodora Youmans was, Kristin?
I don't.
And that's okay. You've only been here a year, and I only learned it just a few years ago when I was on the council. She was a graduate of Carroll and a reporter for the Freeman, who became the president of the Wisconsin women's suffrage movement.
Super.
And was very instrumental in making Wisconsin the first state in the union to ratify the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. So we honor her. And very timely to talk about this with the primary we have coming up on August 13th. And I'm a big fan of not vote early, vote often, but vote early and take advantage of the absentee voting opportunities. The election's held on August 13th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's a Tuesday, but you can do absentee voting by mail, or else you can also show up at the clerk's office at City Hall from 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. And I think that it goes another hour on, from July 30th through August 9th, you can vote in person at City Hall, outside the clerk's office there on the first floor. It's 8 a.m. to 4:30, Tuesday, July 30th through Friday, August 9th. But on Friday, August 9th, those hours are extended to 5 p.m. So a lot of opportunities to make your vote count, especially in this very important election. This is your one franchise, the one empowerment you have that makes you equal to all Americans. And every vote certainly can make an influence. And any questions with that, please drop by. We have a wonderful city clerk's office here in the city of Waukesha, very user-friendly staff, customer-friendly, that can help you secure your vote for the upcoming primary. And it's good practice for obviously the big national election coming up in November. So, yes, I am joined by Kristin Oakley, and I'm throwing all these great book ideas at her, and she's just like, "Slow down, Don. I got 2 more in my dystopian, young teens dystopian. I think is what you called the series. Is that right?"
It's the Devil Particle series. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the Devil Particle. So, the first one came out last year, correct?
They both came out last year. That's right. The first one
The
came
first
out
two.
June.
Okay, that's right.
June of last year.
Yeah.
The second one in November.
Okay. How long did it take you to write those?
It's really hard to say, but I would say at least 4 years, 4.5 years. And it really, it's
Okay.
the fun thing about it was it started out as a very short story, what we call flash fiction, because
Which are harder to write, I understand, short stories versus novels.
it's a totally different animal. So,
Yeah.
Some people are really good at those and some people are good at novels. And so it started, it was 900 words, short story. And the character I just really liked and it wouldn't let me go. So I thought, no, I can make a book out of this.
Tell us about your character.
So the character, originally in the short story, he was 35, his middle-aged, 35-ish a man who was married with no kids. But in this series, he's 17. And he is an older.
Oh.
Yeah, he's 17. He has a.
So it's kind of like a flashback?
No, it's a totally different.
Portrait or no?
No, totally
Oh,
different.
you just made him younger.
Yeah, because it's
Okay,
young adult
cool.
dystopian. So I wanted the protagonist
Nice.
to be a young adult. And he has an older brother, and his mother had passed away a couple years ago. He's got his dad, but he is.
Okay.
He wants to prove himself to the world, as most teenagers do, and in particular, he does because his mother didn't care much for him. Unfortunately, she didn't like him. So he has strived for the years to show how great he is, and the main reason is because in this world, they have discovered that evil is a known quantity that can be collected and contained.
Yeah.
So collected from people and contained in one thing, so that there would be no more evil in the world. Which is in this particular world, it's on the brink of destruction. So they need to do something. They have to contain it though in a 17-year-old. And so he volunteers along with 49 other young people, and they go into these vessel trials to compete to see who's going to be the Devil Particle vessel, the Devil Particles.
So there's definitely that Ray Bradbury science fiction component to it.
There is, yeah. There's some Hunger Games elements and Divergent elements. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Say for the benefit of those listening, define dystopian. I know it, but not many people. There's some people probably like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. So dystopian is a world that's gone to pot, gone to hell. I can say that on the radio. It's
But also there's like authoritarian, right?
Well,
There's an authoritarian regime, kind of like Soylent Green or like these other futuristic.
There tends to be that, yes, definitely. In young adults, there tends to be young adults are going against the system or their parents or something like that.
Okay.
And in this case, yes, there is a government that's trying. In this case, it's best not to have the world explode, because there's wars going on and it's bad. Yeah. So yeah.
So not to draw anyone away from WAUK, but I at first heard the word dystopian when I used to love listening to the game show on NPR called Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Oh yeah.
And the host, I forget his name. He's a wonderful guy. It's very, very enchanting. And he was talking about how my kids loved Thomas and Friends. Thomas the Tank Engine. Max, I'm sure you're a Thomas guy in your young age, right?
I was honestly more of, I didn't really watch a whole lot of like children's TV, but the Backyardigans hold a special place in my heart still. So
there you go. Yeah. That's like my son was Pablo for Halloween one year. Pretty funny. We still got the pictures, but his older brother loved, like, every time I took him out, he had to, he had to get a new train. He would do whatever it took to get a new train. And when my youngest daughter was born, he wanted to name her Lady after one of his favorite Thomas trains. But I mentioned this on Wait, Don't Tell Me. The host had mentioned that someone had likened Thomas to a dystopian society. And that prompted me to look it up. And if you remember Sir Topham Hatt, the guy who ran the railroad, used to talk about the trains being on time or something like that. I mean, he was like kind of this real disciplinarian. And supposedly they were likening him to Mussolini, who always talked about keeping the trains on time. Mm-hmm. He was the fascist leader. He was creating basically a dystopian society. And Italy during World War II, and they were allied with the Nazis, of course. But so that's what kind of drew my kind of fascination towards the topic, and why I said I was interested in having you on your show. Is there any timing with these books in light of like what's going on in our national politics and fears many people have about heading towards a dystopian regime?
No, not really. It just
Okay.
so happens that when you're writing, things happen in the world that,
Sure.
because like I said, I've been working on these for several years.
Yeah.
What's interesting is in this book, there's a lot of shootings, which of course are typical, not typical, but there is some of that happening in the country. So
Yeah.
because of that,
Yeah.
they in this world they have restricted the amount of people that can gather at one point, and it's 10 people and no more. And I wrote all that way before COVID came out, and then we had and I thought that'll never happen. They'll never restrict that only 10 people can be in an area at one time. That in our world that'll never happen. And then it did. So it's kind of weird how sometimes authors can predict stuff like that. I don't know if I predicted it or not, but it actually, and then came to fruition. And then I'm like, well, now we've lived through this, and now we can even write more about it because we actually experienced it and we know what that feels like, so we can do it. But I think a lot of people, I know there are some pandemic novels that are out now, but I think people were so burnt out by that they don't really want to read about that so much. I think we got to give it a little time yet before people are really interested in that. But when you get going back to dystopians, basically what happens with dystopians is somebody wants to create a utopia, a perfect society where everybody's healthy and wealthy and wise and all of those things, and it backfires on them because it just doesn't. You can't do that. We're humans and we're flawed, and you just can't control them in a way to make us all perfect. It's just not going to happen.
Hey, and real quick, a special good morning to the Hansons. Daughter Mia, one of the stars of the ESA suffragette softball team. She's been making a meal out of the ball. She had a frozen rope double that should have been a triple or a home run, but the fence line didn't go all the way out in the left field in the foul territory as the ball was rolling. And ground rule double, but it was an RBI and a heck of a shot. But glad to see Mia looking healthy and ready for action. Ladies lost a heartbreaker last night, 7-5. They came back though in the last inning. They were down 7-2 against Janesville Cyclones, a team we lost to in the Janesville championship last year. And so tough loss, but so they need to win every game today. And the first one's at 9:55. So I'll be able to head over there after the show. So really excited about that. And hey, Kristin, since you're new to Waukesha reasonably, I don't know if you knew there's a food truck Friday now at the Waukesha County Airport. You mentioned going to the fair, so you know where it is. But we're giving away a lunch for two, and at the food truck. And to do that, the link is waukeshacounty.gov/airport. That's waukeshacounty.gov/airport. So go online there and enter to win your free lunch for two, the giveaway. And I would imagine at our stand at the farmers markets, they're chatting that up as well. So I did make my way over there, and they do have some pretty tasty options, I would say, fair to say. So, so returning to our subject though about this, so are there people that call themselves dystopians, or they'd probably call themselves utopians? They have some other ism to describe themselves, but what they're moving towards, or what happens by hook or by crook, is that it becomes dystopian. Is that fair to say, Kristin?
I think so. Mm-hmm. At least in fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So, but I'm of that age. I grew up during the Cold War, and I was like a middle schooler, like my daughter's age, or she just finished 8th grade. But it was during those middle school years that in English class you were reading. Well, first of all, you were learning current events. I had a wonderful 6th grade teacher, but it was at that age that I learned about the threat of nuclear devastation, which for a 12-year-old is very difficult. And so more than any thriller, more than any slasher movie or book, it was a lot of these science fiction or these dystopian writers like George Orwell. Those were very frightening to me, more than any, because of the potential reality for it, I think. Mm-hmm. So, and is that kind of what might have drawn you in as well, Kristin?
I think so. Well, more was the philosophical background.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know what a world without evil would actually look like.
Sure.
And would that be good or not? I mean,
Right.
does evil serve a purpose?
Yeah.
And so explore some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I remember Mark Twain saying that his hero was Adam, that in his great sin, or the great, giving, biting the apple, whatever that was, or getting Eve to bite the apple, that he'd created humanity and the yin and the yang of all of us, the good and the bad, and that maybe one doesn't exist without the other. But
I think that's true. Yeah.
How we can have a sort of balance, or maybe good kind of overshadows evil enough that we can address these issues like poverty and a lot of the corruption, a lot of white collar crime we see. But more on that, as well as a deeper dive into Kristin Oakley's books, for whatever she's willing to share. But I can't wait to check these out. These are award-winning books, and it's great to have another writer here in residence here in the suffragette city of Kristin Oakley, excuse me. We're also going to talk about some upcoming events like jazz at Cutler Park, safety days in the park. So many great opportunities to not only soak in the summer, but get some culture and learn some very important things here. And This Week in Waukesha on WAUK, 540 AM, 101.1 FM, The Shaw. And don't forget to check us out in the Civic Media app. Take my show and all the great Civic Media programming with you anywhere you go. In the city of Waukesha, there's 1,000 things I want to say to all of you as we enjoy one of my favorite jam tunes in the city about the young idea. I'm your host, Don Browne, coming to you live, local, and remote. I am in Bloomington, Minnesota, in the Twin Cities area. And my faithful producer, the mighty Max Martinson, is there in the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne with my guest, writer, Waukesha resident, and writing instructor, Kristin Oakley. But first, I want to let you know next week we have some very special guests. That's the August 3rd broadcast. We'll have Waukesha South graduates and members of the Black Shirt football program, Hector Carranza and Tyler Williams, coming to say goodbye as they depart. They continue their football careers and their education. Hector's going to be at Carthage College in the CCIW, one of the greatest conferences in the country, along with our own WAUK. Carroll University is in that conference as well. And so we're really excited to hear more about Hector. And then Tyler Williams going to Concordia, Minnesota, here in the Twin Cities. And really excited to see both those young men continuing their education. And one of their great passions, football at the collegiate level. So, but in the second hour, Bob Mitnock and Sean Riley, who you know is our mayor, our beloved mayor, but they'll be here in another capacity. They're on the board of the, they're in the Rotary Club, I guess, committee for the annual Blues Fest taking place at Waganaki Park, August 9th and 10th. And I think it's one of those weekends where we don't have anything going on in my family. So we might try to make our way out there to Blues Fest. It's been quite a few years now when the last time I was there, but my wife and I had a wonderful time on a beautiful Friday night, enjoying some blues. And for those of you more on the jazz side, we have jazz at Cutler Park. And let me see who we have. Oh, coming up on July 31st, I believe this is the final segment. That was the Carmen Nickerson Band. And I'm bummed I wasn't here last Wednesday. I was here in Minnesota with Marcia Daniel and her combo. I really wanted to check them out, but unfortunately wasn't meant to be. And then also want to remind you, for any of you with kids or just love movies, the final Monday night movie in the park of the summer is Wonka. On this Monday, July 29th, head to Cutler Park starting about 6 p.m. to make a candy necklace and visit with Candyman himself. And that starts at 7:15. And Speaking of Wonka, as you know, I think probably everyone's favorite Willy Wonka movie was the one with Gene Wilder, another favorite son of the Milwaukee area. And there's a great documentary about Gene Wilder that's on. I forget which one of the streams it's on, if it's Netflix or another, but it's definitely well worth an hour of your time. Amazing life, and it's great to see one of the locals do well at such a high level in entertainment, comedy as well as drama. And a lot Gene Wilder did for philanthropy as well, especially for women's cancer, as the widower of the wonderful Gilda Radner, whose life was cut short by ovarian cancer. So if you love documentaries like I do, or love great histories about great people, check out that one about Gene Wilder. So, and don't forget Monday night at Cutler Park with Wonka. So, but my guest, Kristin Oakley, do you envision any of your books becoming movies or television series?
All of them.
Fantastic. So, and I saw that you had some training on teaching writers how to pitch to agents. So you obviously have a background in that, some success in that. How are your books published now?
So the current series I'm self-publishing. And
You're self-published? Okay.
Yeah. So when I started with the first series, was thinking about it back in 2012. That wasn't, self-publishing was coming into the mainstream, but it was still kind of looked down upon. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why can't you get traditionally published?
Right.
And then I looked into that for a while, and the process to do that takes years to get a book. Once the book is done, it still takes about 3 to 5 years to actually get it published traditionally. And I thought, you know what, the book is so good and it's ready to go now. I don't want to wait years. And I contacted a local publisher in Mineral Point, Wisconsin, Kristin Mitchell of Little Creek Press.
All right.
And she published it for me, the first 2 books.
Fantastic.
And
Really?
then I've learned a lot about self-publishing. And now you hear many, many people say, don't bother going traditionally published because you lose all control over your books and the money and everything else. Do it all self-publishing, which is a big deal. It's a lot of work, I will say. It's not for the faint of heart.
But you see higher percentages of the books you sell in terms of revenues.
I get everything. I get 100% of it. I don't have to pay an agent. I don't have to pay a publisher. I get everything. I have to pay for everything too. Cover designer and all that.
Yeah. And I remember, Kristin, reading an article in the New York Times about Harper Lee and Kill Mockingbird in the process. That was like a good 3 to 5 year process when there were some family friends from Alabama living in New York that were connected to the publisher. I think it was Harper. Harper Lee's the author. I forget, but it was one of the big names in publishing, and they flew her to New York. They took her in for 3 to 5 years because she was a very young woman when she wrote that, and that book did not hit it was until 3 or 4 years later that book finally made it out. And I always wondered about that. It's like, God, was she living on crackers and water while they're waiting for that book to get published?
Probably waiting tables at Manhattan.
Waiting tables, like a lot of, So
yeah.
Interesting. But with self-publishing, if you're willing to take on all the other hats of a publisher and a writer, and you're probably doing your own editing, or did you outsource that?
No, there's different kinds of editing, and my developmental edit, which is somebody who looks over the whole story and the plot and the characterization and all of that. Okay. I hire Tim Storm out of Madison. He does that with me. And then I use like Pro Writing Aid for copy editing, which is your grammar and your punctuation. And then is
that kind of like Grammarly, but maybe more advanced?
I've used software? Grammarly too. It's a little bit more advanced. And then I have critical readers that read it over for me. No matter what, you're going to find a typo, even after the book's published. But they're pretty good at finding those for me. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Neat. So, and that probably, since you had 1 or 2 under, it gave you the confidence to continue doing it and honing your craft on the writing as well as the publishing side.
Right. I like to say that every book is better than the last one because I've learned so much, and I keep working at it. And that's my goal always. So this third book in this current series, I thought it was right. I thought it was ready to go, and I sent it to my critical readers, and 2 of them out of the 6, 4 said, "Oh yeah, it's great." 2 of them were like, "Nope, that's got to be rewritten."
So we're approaching. Sorry to cut you off. We're approaching our second hour with Kristin Oakley here on This Week in Waukesha, and we're going to learn, as she said, there's so much to learn, and we're looking forward to hearing more on Kristin and her craft as a writer from Waukesha.
City
July 27th, 2024. If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's hour 2 of This Week in Waukesha with your host, Don Browne. That's me. And I'm joined by my producer, the mighty Max Martinson. We are coming to you live, local, and remote from the home base, the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne there in the WAUK Studios, where Max is also hosting this week's guest, author Kristin Oakley. And I'm coming to you remotely from the Renaissance Hotel in, God, I can't even remember the town I'm in anymore, but it's the metro area of Minnesota here, not far from Lakeville, where the tournament's, the NAFA softball tournament is taking place, and here supporting my daughter and her team as they are in a must-win situation. At 9:55, I'll be heading over there after this show, but we're glad everyone could join us. And for those of you just joining too, if you've ever missed an episode of This Week in Waukesha, I highly encourage you to check out the podcast page, because you can go and you can catch every show. And there's been quite a few, I think, of a real, historic, sure, but I think of a critical nature. A couple of the shows we've covered some, should I say, bullying from downtown businesses towards one that forced a business owner to move. We had the vindicated alder and county legislator, former legislator Kathleen Cummings, talking about her 30-month ordeal, overcoming criminal charges of election fraud that she had successfully overcame, and just some other great guests and some other key topics. We've had other leaders on the show recently. Mayor Sean Riley is my guest next week to promote the Rotary Club's Jazz Festival. And so real great opportunities to catch up on what's going on in Waukesha, and hope to tell your story on there too. We're always looking for new guests and people that have a story to tell. So I'm really glad, Kristin, you connected with us, I think, through Johnny Watermelon at the Wednesday, the Music by the River series that the city does.
Yes, we did.
So
yeah,
that's great. I know that's, I think it's the Riverside Rhythms, I think is the name of it.
Right. I've only been there the one time, but I plan on going back. It's a good event.
Our man Johnny Watermelon, one of the great community leaders for WAUK, is our man. He's manning that. And Johnny's on the phone with the Farmers Market Report. Let's get Johnny in here. We were just talking about him too. Johnny, can you hear me? All the way from Minnesota.
Sure, Donnie. Heard you loud and clear.
Awesome. How's it looking there?
I'll tell you, what a beautiful day in downtown Waukesha. I'm at the farmers market. You couldn't have dialed up a better day. There's just so much going on here. All the produce, the radishes, beets, carrots, jalapeno peppers, onions, and your favorite, Don, from the River Valley Ranch and Kitchens. All the fresh mushrooms are here. Flowers, tomatoes. Oh my God! It's just all the vendors are here. I mean, you get pottery, you can get breads. The farmers market in Waukesha, Don, as you know, I'm a big enthusiast of this place, and man, it's just a special thing for the community. So I would encourage everyone to come down to Waukesha and get to the farmers market and get some great deals and some excellent food. So that's where we're at this morning.
And they should stop by your booth for any dog treats, right?
Yeah, so then, now that you mention it, I am manning the booth with David, and we have some dog treats and a couple other things for human treats, and you can register to win a great bicycle this morning too. So that's correct. Okay, that's still going on. Great. Market, and just wanted to say hi to everybody, and back to you, Don.
All right, Johnny, we'll touch base with you at the I believe it's the 8:35 mark, so we'll be catching up for an update there from the Waukesha Farmers Market on what I've been told is a beautiful Saturday there. I have my guest, Kristin Oakley, lives in downtown and is an author. Kristin, do you get over to the farmers market much?
Yeah, it's right outside my back door. So on the way over here, I walked by them setting up. So on the way home, I will definitely be stopping by because I know there's corn on the cob right now and it's delicious.
Oh, that's right. It's about that time of year.
Yeah.
Especially the sweet corn. You know, and I've been a big advocate for developing more residential in downtown, because now that the city, since the downtown area has been developed, there's so much going on for people in terms of events. Our farmers market, I guess it's one of the biggest farmers markets in the state. And so there's so much things you can do without having to get in your car and the farmers market's one of them every Saturday up until late October. So looking forward to hopefully catching up with those. It'll be difficult with me with a son now playing college football and some of the other obligations that we have. But I'm really glad that we've got a presence there as we've had the last couple of years. And I'm sure Johnny's a very familiar face to a lot of people there. So it's great to hear from Johnny. So, but here with author Kristin Oakley, and we were talking about your, I guess we were talking about your, one, how to publish and the success you've had and the learning lessons. And that really is the way to go for a lot of people looking to get published, given how hard it is to probably get in the door with these established publishers, and maybe how little you get back in terms of earning potential.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a long haul. You've got to find an agent first. If you're writing a novel, if you're writing fiction, you have to find an agent. So you have to write query letters, and then you have to send it to them, or you have to pitch to them at a conference. And then once you find an agent, which could take years, the agent then has to pitch the book to publishers, and that might take years. And then once the publisher actually gets it and signs the agreement, it takes on average 18 months for them to get it on the shelf. So it's a long, drawn-out process. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So, and for those of you who weren't around the first hour, Kristin's had some award-winning books, some thrillers, and then this recent series focuses on, you called it teen dystopian?
Young adult dystopian, right, yeah.
Young adult dystopian, so very interesting theme. And the idea was, the Devil Particle was an effort to build a more utopian society where you would minimize or try to eliminate evil altogether. And what would that look like in a futuristic society? Did I get that right?
You did. Yes. Very good.
So now, is it geared towards a younger audience, or should anybody that reads it, that likes dystopian novels, or even, I guess you could say, science fiction?
It's all ages, really. But I would say starting from about 14 or 15 on up.
Okay. Neat. So, yeah, and I think it's good. Anything that encourages young people to read too. I think this would be a good, as long as they kind of maybe have a talk with the kids first, because I could see how that would that could be a real downer for some kids reading about futuristic societies that don't end well, and so just kind of pitching it as, there's an entertainment value to it, and that that's kind of a fear factor, a thriller kind of aspect to it, but it's also there's some learning lessons and some good takeaways for you.
There's some violence. It's not as gritty and violent as the Hunger Games, which is also geared to 12 to 18-year-olds.
Right.
But the reason why I say maybe a little bit older, the 14, 15-year-olds, there's more of the philosophical aspects. And, some pseudo-science stuff, which is thrown in, which is a lot of fun.
Sure.
But I think it appeals to everybody. I mean, it's fun. There's suspense thriller. There's an elevator you don't want to get in, all of those, there's an escape room. They have to get to the top of a 52-story skyscraper that's been abandoned. And they have to go through all these trials. There's about 9 trials that they have to get through. So
interesting.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Sure. So, as I mentioned in the first hour, that the final Monday night movie in the park is this Monday, the 29th at Cutler Park, and it's Wonka. And you take a deeper dive. Like, we love the movie with Gene Wilder because of the musical aspect to it, but you take a deeper dive, and in future renditions of it, like there was the one with Johnny Depp, and then this recent one that's out. Is it fair to, because there is kind of a dark, twisted side to that, is it fair to say there's a dystopian element to Wonka?
I would definitely say that. Yeah, Roald Dahl, who wrote the original book, a lot of his books had that kind of dark element in them, and it's pretty, parts of it is really scary for kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
You can say the same thing about old fairy tales and stuff. There's some really violent stuff, and kids don't process that as the same way we do. But there's definitely some of that in that movie. Yeah. So the one they're showing, is that the Gene Wilder one, or is that the more recent one?
I think it's the more recent one
with Timothy Chalamet.
I believe so. Yeah. Yes, I believe that's the one they're showing.
I haven't seen that one.
We'll see. Yeah. So hey, go over to the park on Monday and check that out.
Yeah, we might have to do that. Yeah.
Terrific. So And I guess, it's kind of a departure from dystopian, and especially in today's world. I think it's nice. The Olympics opened up last night, the Summer Olympics, and I always get choked up when I watch opening ceremonies because it's exciting for me to see the world coming together like that and people cheering each other on from different countries, and just the whole kind of community of Earth, like, really becoming one for like one single moment and watching each other compete in sports and taking as much of the politics as you can out of it. And I did want to call out some Wisconsin residents representing in the Olympics. One is actually representing his country of Canada, Mo Ahmed, a distance runner who's been there many, many times. He's a graduate of University of Wisconsin. There's Morgan McDonald also competing for her home country, his home country of Australia, and Ellie Hoare and Adam Spencer, all UW athletes. Sprinter Kenny Bednarik from Rice Lake is in the 100 and 200 meter races, and he won a silver medal in the last Olympics when that was in Tokyo in the off year following the COVID crisis. And then following the Olympics is Paralympics in wheelchair basketball. And I didn't realize this. Whitewater is the home of wheelchair basketball in the U.S., and it's the premier program that nurtures Olympian after Olympian. And so we know that we've got, the head coach, Jake Williams, has 2 gold medals to his name already. And many of these Olympians who are themselves Wisconsin natives already have experiences at the Paralympics. There's John Boye from Milton, Nate Hins from Cedar Grove, Taylon Jordan of Deerfield. And on the women's side, you've got Becca Murray from Germantown and Emily Oberst of Milwaukee. Emily did not go to Whitewater, but the rest did. And many of them have Paralympic and national experience. So really looking forward to the Olympics, but also looking forward to learning more from Kristin Oakley, our guest, Waukesha resident, writer, and writing instructor. And we're going to talk more about the instruction side of Kristin's work and how she inspires and guides other aspiring writers here on This Week in Waukesha on this beautiful Saturday morning, July 27th, 2024. And don't forget to download the Civic Media app and take This Week in Waukesha and all the great Civic Media programming with you on the go. Hey, you're listening to This Week in Waukesha, and that is Out of the Darkness by Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul. Great jam from one of my favorite musicians. Any sopranos out there, if you remember Silvio, who was the Kappa or Tony Soprano, that actor was Steven Van Zandt, who was Little Steven, and first cut his teeth as Bruce Springsteen's guitarist on the E Street Band, so a storied career. And he's got a radio show, too, I think, that takes place on Sunday night, and it's kind of a really unique show of showing some kind of like good rock and roll that maybe doesn't get as much play. So, but huge Little Steven fan. And got some reminders here today. A special shout out to, and I know he's listening in spirit, Steve Prescott, a former business mentor and accomplished Chicago area restaurateur, who today would have been his 80th birthday. We unfortunately lost him to a terminal illness back in Christmas time, 1995, but he's always near and dear to my hearts. And, speaking of food service successes, Tom Hockel of Spring City Wine and the new Charcuterie House turned 60 today. Our very own Tom Hockel there on Main Street. Have you been to Spring City Wine or the Charcuterie House yet, Kristin?
I've been to the Charcuterie House. I've been there many times. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad that's there.
I am so excited by that, too.
I love charcuterie.
Me too.
So, but you're going to love Spring City as well, and that's the thing. Tom's, it's a very limited menu. It's a small kitchen at Spring City, so it's a lot of those, that's why he created the charcuterie houses so he could buy from himself. And so a lot of those fairs that you're checking out at charcuterie house, you'll see on the menu at Spring City, I would believe, interchangeably. So, so yeah, definitely check out Spring City.
Yeah, I will.
And especially now they've got outdoor seating as well. That's
right.
On a beautiful summer night, it's great to sit out there, a couple glasses of wine, and maybe split a charcuterie board or some truffles. So wishing Tom well on his 60th birthday and hoping he's making time to have some fun. So my guest again here is Kristin Oakley. And so real quick, the Carol Minute. And thanks to Greg Triple G Wansnyder. Haven't heard from him in a while. I thought it was something I said, but thanks for this text, Triple G. Carol just released a theme for the upcoming school year. It's going to go with the theme of democracy and civility. So nice little tickler there from Greg Wansnyder. Pay attention to that. And I also wanted to mention, I know September is still a ways off, a full month away. September is National Suicide Awareness Month. And as many of you know, I'm a huge advocate for good mental health. And Carroll University offers free short-term counseling services program. It'll end August 22nd. It starts in May every year. But I wanted to shout that out again because no insurance or demonstrated financial need is required. It's intended to offer essential mental health services to the community, which I think is fantastic. As I say hello to future MLB star Jax Lindauer with his mom, Jenny, going to breakfast here, watching daughter, sister Jaden playing for the Suffragettes. Anyway, with the Carol Minute, licensed psychologists and student clinicians supervised by licensed professionals in the field will deliver CCC services. And all aspects of the center are sponsored by Carroll School of Education and Human Services and staffed by faculty and trainees from the Behavioral Health Psychology program. So check out the Carroll University website for more information. And everybody deserves good mental health. And there really is no normal out there, as author Kristin Oakley, I'm sure, would attest to. And everybody could benefit from some good mental health. So be sure to check that out, and you can get more familiar with how good mental health care works. So, but anyway, speaking of writer's health, Kristin, I remember looking at your bio that you also you do some teaching, some instructing, and you're involved with UW Madison, but you're also, I believe you're involved in some local programs here. Can you tell us more about that?
So there's the Wisconsin Writers Association. I'm actually teaching a course on characterization in September. It's a Zoom course, and they actually last year they have a conference every year, and last year it was in Waukesha. They had
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, they had a 2-day conference, and the first day was in Waukesha, and they did it throughout the whole town. So there were workshops at the Steaming Cup and People's Park.
No way.
Yeah,
How clever.
It was really something. And then the next day it was in Brookfield at the conference center down by the mall there. So
good use of that place, sure.
Yeah, so the Wisconsin Writers Association, WWA, meets has this conference annually, and this year it's going to be in La Crosse in October.
Oh, nice! Fantastic.
I won't be able to attend this year, but it's a wonderful organization, and you should definitely check it out, Don. I know you want to write that book.
Yeah,
and it's a good opportunity.
Are you able
for
to participate virtually in those conferences, Kristin?
I don't know if they do it virtually, but my workshop in September is virtual. So if you want to learn about character development and how to create the awesome characters, check that out. But you can look online, see what all programs they have. They've been around for a while.
Sure. What's the URL for Kristin Oakley to find out about what your books and your program offerings?
It's KristinOakley.net.
Easy enough.
Easy enough.
And that's KristinOakley.
Yes.
.net.
Yes. Thank you.
And then what's the website for the Wisconsin Writers Association? The WWA, is that what they call it?
Yeah, they call it WWA. So I would just Google Wisconsin Writers Association. Yeah. There's also another organization.
How many members do they have?
Oh, gosh, I don't know, hundreds. I have no idea. The Chicago Writers Association, I was on the board of that for many years, and that's also a wonderful organization, too. And
do you still belong?
I do, yes, yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter that you're now a Wisconsin.
You can be from all over the world for both of these organizations.
Sounds good.
You don't have to necessarily be in Wisconsin or Chicago. Yeah, they're wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. What are the fees to join an association like that if you're an aspiring writer or an established writer or what?
I think they're $35 a year. That's it.
$35?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Wow. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
To know, and like I said, that's fantastic. That's very reasonable. So that's terrific. And so, are you teaching any courses now as like an adjunct faculty member, or just kind
So
of focused on your
for
own work?
UW Madison, I was adjunct, and it was for the Division of Continuing Studies, and they discontinued the program after 80 years. It was crushing to us.
After 80 years?
After 80 years, they discontinued it. So unfortunately, that's not around anymore. But then I do teach periodically. Like I said, next month I'll be teaching with WWA and different conferences and stuff. I like to do that. I like to spend most of my time writing, but I also really enjoy teaching a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, some of the conversation we had about a lot of faculty members at universities are under pressure to publish. That has that can impact their ability to teach and to hone their craft as teachers, because there's so much pressure for them to publish every couple of years, get their name out and get the university's name out. So, and I imagine for writers, there's that similar pressure. But we're going to continue this conversation with Kristin, and I'd love to get her take on with this emphasis in recent years we've had on STEM, if writing courses, English, the like, and reading, if that's been impacted, that part of the education has been impacted too much by that emphasis, or are people still finding opportunities and realizing the opportunities and the benefits economically and otherwise in careers in writing and communications, and some more local news too coming up. And remember, my guests next week, Tyler Williams and Hector Carranza, say goodbye before they continue their football and educational careers at Carthage and Concordia, Minnesota, respectively. And then Mayor Sean Riley and his good friend Bob will be talking about the Waukesha Blues Festival coming up on the weekend of the 9th and the 10th. And so much more here in This Week in Waukesha, WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM. This Sean, don't forget to down.
Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds poor people gonna rise up and get their share. Poor people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run.
Hey, you're listening to This Week in Waukesha with your host, Don Browne, and the mighty Max Martinson, my producer, and my guest author, Kristin Oakley. And that was, of course, Tracy Chapman with Revolution. Just love that song. And is Johnny on the line from the farmer's market, Max? So our second report from Johnny Watermelon at the farmer's market. Johnny, take it away.
Hey, Don. Good morning, everybody. What
Top of the morning.
Beautiful day we have on tap down here. Man, we have got a small crowd gathering here for all these wonderful vendors. Artisan breads, mushrooms, all kinds of vegetables. You should see the radishes, the rhubarb, tomatoes, beets. Don, I'm telling you what, the produce is in, baby. This is really a great farmer's market. I encourage everybody to get down here and get something before it's all gone, and even have black currants here today. So I'm very excited about all these opportunities. You have all this great stuff down at the Waukesha Farmers Market in beautiful downtown Waukesha.
Hey, thanks so much, Johnny. The farmer's market's going on till 12. And I hope my father-in-law, Rick Zannon's listening. He makes his own wine, and he makes a wonderful rhubarb wine. And I did see the rhubarb when last time I was at the farmer's market, it was last Saturday, and it really looked wonderful. So, and of course, there's rhubarb pie and so many other great things you do with rhubarb. But I've had some delicious rhubarb wine, courtesy of Rick Zannon. So I hope he's listening. What do you like to get when you're in the farmer's market, Kristin Oakley?
Well, I was there last weekend. It was the corn.
That's right.
And then green beans, and then I have to avoid those curds, the cheese curds, because I'll just eat them all immediately.
Love it.
And bread. Some of the breads are wonderful. My son-in-law, who's a sous chef, likes to get his knives sharpened there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he'll
really?
take them over.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting. What is he working at a restaurant currently?
Not currently. No, he's got a tech job now, but he was a sous chef for many years.
Okay. Well, good. So, and I'd be remiss, farmer's market, if I didn't call out my good friend, a fellow writer, Sarah, the author, Sarah J. Bradley. I read one of her books recently from her. The heroine in her books is named after Packer Max McGee, and these are Northwoods mysteries, and it's really fun. She's called the menopausal millionaire because of an inheritance from her former in-laws who didn't want their own son squandering the money so that she could take care of the 5 children and many grandchildren. And it really is a fun read. If you like mysteries that also have an edge of like sarcasm and real good humor to that. So kudos to Sarah. And I also want to shout out Patrick O'Donnell, especially like I got his name right. I've been calling him Patrick O'Connell, but Patrick O'Donnell, he's got a unique niche, and he's got a podcast called Cops and Writers. He's a retired Milwaukee policeman, and so a lot of his stories center around that genre of police work that there's obviously a big following for, much like there is for the dystopian themes that you're focusing in on, Kristin.
Right.
So, do you have are there other themes you want to chase or pursue, or that kind of like, should we say, spark your interest?
Well, that's a good question. So I kind of do start a story based on a theme. This one was good versus evil, and what would the world look like without evil. In Carpe Diem, Illinois, it was the unschooling, homeschool, philosophy. And then the second book in that series is God on Mayhem Street, and that was about gay rights. And how does it affect a family when you've kept that secret for so long? And particularly between brothers and all of that. So, I'm working on this series, which is really just one book over 4. So it's still dealing with the evil and how are they going to conquer this and all of that. And then I do have a couple other in the Leo Townsend series. That's the first series that are coming up. That I have some ideas. I do like to have some political slant in all of these too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Is it okay to ask if they're how does it lean politically? Is it in terms of a direction, left, right, or center, or is it just more about just politics in general?
I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask my readers. But I think it's pretty center.
Good.
It's
sure.
I think it's open to all ideas, and I like to basically what you want to do is in a book you want to present both sides of the issue and not really preach to people at all. People don't read books for that; they want it for entertainment. So, but they're interested in getting the information, and so if you present both sides, my little town of Carpe Diem, Illinois, that's an unschooling town, has some weird quirks to it too. It's not perfect.
Big shout out to Jason Lindauer walking by along with his family. They'll be heading to, hey, Kristin Oakley, writer, says hello. So I'm going to, because I had a family preparing for a 9:55 softball game, I had to find a spot here in the hotel to do my show. And the best spot here is it's kind of a split level. The second floor is the lobby. First floor is underneath, and there's a breakfast room. That's where many of the families are staying. And so I'm kind of the breakfast. You see people passing by on the way to the breakfast room. And it was a bit of an experience setting up here. For a while, I couldn't find my glasses when I went to the restroom. I thought someone had stolen them as I stepped away. And I went upstairs to the front desk. And the guy's like, dude, you're wearing them on your hat.
Don, I think
you're a bit of a panic. What?
I think you're missing out today because we just had James Santel come by with his eclairs again, but you're not in the studio today, unfortunately.
Oh, Kristin can take an extra one home.
He brought one into me, so yeah.
Nice, thank you, James Santel, whose show Amicus, a law reviewer, as I call Atticus. And for those of you who are new to civic media, James Santel's show was originally called Morning Cannolis, and as a tradition, he'd bring morning cannolis or other pastries, primarily from how should we say it? Glorioso's on Brady Street. And they're delicious. And we're really grateful for that tradition that he continues, as well as the quality of the show and the expertise that he brings, not only to the office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne as one of my chief counsels and chief advisors, but also to the civic media stratosphere. His show syndicates, it's broadcast statewide, and there's some really great takeaways on what's going on in the developing law. So very grateful for Jim's gift of friendship and his very generous sharing of talent, experience, and all the like. So
and eclairs.
And eclairs, yes, thank you, Kristin. So now James in his discipline as a lawyer, or Alyssa Carlson in her discipline as an accomplished pediatrician with Children's Wisconsin. Big hello to her. Almost the whole Carlson family is here anyway. But there's a routine those guys follow in their day to day. They have to. What is your routine as a writer? Do you have one? Do you have a daily routine, a default diary, if you will?
Yeah, I
that
don't.
You follow to ensure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. A lot of writers do when they say they have to write every day, or I have to, I have deadlines, and that's what gets me to get the work done.
Okay. Sure.
So my day varies. Right now, I'm waiting for some feedback from my editor on book 3, and while I'm waiting for that, because I'm a businesswoman, I'm doing marketing stuff. So I've been doing a lot of that. It is the 10th anniversary of Carpe Diem, Illinois, so I've got a new cover coming out. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Re-releasing that book with the new cover, and I'm real excited about that. That should be coming out pretty soon.
What a great milestone.
Week. Yeah.
Sure.
Can't believe it. It went really fast.
Yeah. This October, I'll be celebrating the 8th anniversary of my writing business when I hung my own shingle, and very proud of that effort. And as many know, my writing and communications have been blogs, broadcasting, some web content, online communities, and the like. But want to have some books published, like my friend Kristin here. And so I'm really grateful that we're getting to know each other and to learn more.
So what is your book idea?
I guess that's encouraging to me.
What are you working on? What are you thinking?
Should I?
Yes, you should.
Let well, there's a couple different ideas I have, but the one that's really piqued my interest is, without going too far into it, about in 19. So like 30 years ago exactly. My Irish grandmother, had passed away. She lived to be 91, a great life and a wonderful legacy. And she was an immigrant from Ireland who. And so my father was first generation. Both his parents came from Ireland in the West, County Clare, who's this year's All-Ireland hurling champions. Congratulations to them. Up the banner. But I was raised not to ask my grandparents any questions about Ireland. My father was from that generation, very much like Don Draper of Mad Men, that wasn't really proud of his plebeian roots, if you will. And a lot of people in that, especially that first generation of Americans, wanted to take on an American identity, and they shed their ethnic skin. And so, while we were very devout Catholic, he went out of his way to try not to be Irish, and he would always discourage any embracing of Irish heritage. And so, as he got older, a lot of that changed, especially as he saw my developing passion for it. And my grandmother had helped fuel that for me. But long story short, when she passed away, I went to Ireland and learned that I had an uncle, my grandmother's husband's brother, who was a star in Gaelic football, one of the great sports in Irish athletics, the Gaelic athletics, as they say. And he was a hero there. And in my hometown of Buffalo, he'd won some championships, both for his village and for County Clare. And that was also around the time that the revolution, the war for independence from Great Britain, had taken place. And as things started to get crazy, he'd gotten out and gotten a job in America, working in the grain elevators in Buffalo. And that's he was killed in an accident there, a so-called accident. There are some people that theorize that he was murdered because of his involvement in the resistance movement, or the fight for Irish independence, possibly even the Civil War that ensued afterwards. But there was just basically I unlocked a wealth of like great social history that I think makes a great concept for a book. So I've been working on it for way too long, Kristin, like 20 years, but it's something that I'm passionate about finishing to the end and seeing it through, and for my own peace of mind. But I do love writing about history. I love historic fictions, and I also love writing about Irish and Irish American history. Really passionate, and social history too. It's just like I'm a big Studs Terkel fan, and I believe every person you meet's got a book in them. Oh. Either that someone writes about them, or they write it, or I do a lot of ghostwriting too. So I do have an interest in maybe helping other people find their voice. So I look forward to collaborating more with you on this writing. So,
so how far along
so how do I stop my 20-year itch, or how do I kind of put this thing to bed, Kristin?
How many pages, how many words is that? I mean, have you written it out, or
probably
is it just
now? It's probably close to 100 words, but it's just scattered. It's just really
just 100 words.
I mean. No pages. No, pages, more words than that. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of organization, like a chronology, there may be like the first 2 chapters, but in terms of little quotes I write in or notes or things like that. There's more. There's definitely, and I just need to organize it or see it through to the end.
Yeah. So do you belong to a critique group at all? A writer's critique group? No? Okay. So that's what helped me get
my... Like I said,
you should, because that's what got me to get my first book done, was because every month I had to have a chapter written so they had something to critique. And so that discipline of having to get it done was, that's what I need. I need those outside goals and structure. But that would be one way to do it. Just join. And there's a lot of them in the Waukesha area, writers groups.
Oh, good.
You can check out at the library, but also go to the Wisconsin Writers Association. They'll have information there too. But that would be my main suggestion. If you've been working out 20 years, you need somebody to kick you in the butt to get it going. And a critique group will do that for you.
Okay. Terrific. No, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And as I mentioned, Dr. Alyssa Carlson had walked through. Her father-in-law, touchdown Tony Carlson, a Waukesha resident, and I guess was a hero in football. His nickname in high school was Touchdown. His wife, Janie, very funny. She is a second cousin, or Greg Bach from our civic media is her second cousin. And you got to check Greg on Up North News with Pat Kreitlow, as well as Matt and Air on Air. From 10 to 12. Up North News is 6 to 8. But he's hilarious, and he grew up in Waukesha, and it's neat to know his extended family. Actually, I've known the Carlson family for many years, and it's great to have so many of them here cheering Amelia on, of this youngest generation, who is one of the star infielders and great hitter for the Suffragettes. More with Kristin Oakley here on This Week in Waukesha, WAUK 540 AM, 101.1 FM, The Shaw.
Wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds a whisper. And finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. It's finally the table. Music comes ringing out of every door. I see faces I know, and they give me the sign. We got something between us, and it feels alright. One world, whoa, it's our world. Yeah,
Waukesha with your host Don Browne and Mighty Max on the board. And that was my good friend Todd Rundgren and Utopia with One World. And speaking of Utopia, we have dystopian author Kristin Oakley here. But we also have Greg Triple G Schneider, who has been patiently waiting. Greg, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Don. Hi, Kristin.
So great to hear your voice. I hadn't heard from you in so long. I thought I'd said something to upset you, Greg. But what's on your mind? Do you have a question for Kristin?
I actually do. So,
Awesome.
Kristin, I'm one of those writers that needs a little kick in the pants, kick in the butt, whatever you want to say, because I have a book idea writing about the wisdom of Waukesha and just interviewing people. The thing is, I've been to some of these writing groups, and they, seem to be focused on nonfiction writing, or on fiction writing rather. My book would be more nonfiction. I mean, I'm also thinking about possibly writing, some fiction, but I'm wondering if you have any tips specifically for writing nonfiction, Kristin, because that's a different animal than writing fiction.
That's a great question, Greg. And I will say this: I came close to there was a special offer from a publisher out of Texas that I gave her like the first 30 pages and an outline, and they called back and they were interested, but they wanted to know if it was going to be fiction or nonfiction. And I chose fiction because there's certain family members that would rather me not talk about my family, and so I don't want them having to sign off before I get anything published. But I do understand that the nonfiction or the biographical tends to be selling better than the fiction. Is that true, Kristin? And what else do you have to say in response to Greg's question?
It depends upon the book. It just depends. So in answer to your question, Greg, there are through the Wisconsin Writers Association, there are critique groups, and I think there are some that do focus on nonfiction. Don't quote me on that. My good friend Lori Shear, who ran the Writers Institute in Madison, is running those programs, and she specializes in nonfiction, memoir, that kind of thing. So that's one aspect, but it's as you know, it's a totally different animal. So if you decide to go traditional, what you do is basically what Don said: is you have to get together a whole book proposal. So what you want to do is organize the book in a certain way. It sounds awesome. The stories about Waukesha. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Do you have 20, 10? How many stories? Different people? Or
I started out as a columnist. I was a journalist for
Right.
a couple different Waukesha publications, the Waukesha Patch and Waukesha Freeman. So I've got a lot of stories that I've written, about people. Plus, there are people like just like not just veterans in the military nature, but veterans who have lived in the city a long time, who are much more knowledgeable and wiser about the city than I will ever be, who I would like to interview. Mayors and former mayors and things like that, and who knows, maybe even Don, might have. I think, Don, you would have a lot of wisdom to share in the book. So
thank you.
So yeah, but
yeah. So I guess what I would do is write up a proposal. You can look online on how to do that. It sounds like it'd be really easy, but I did do a nonfiction project, and it took was 30, 40 pages, just the proposal itself. But I would put something like that together, and I would approach like University of Wisconsin Press, or I don't know if Carroll University has a press, but some local presses that would be interested in the local flavor that you're talking about. And it basically, if you go through University of Wisconsin Press, you don't have to have an agent to approach them. And because it's nonfiction, you would need an agent anyway. But there's a better chance of them backing you, and then they could give you maybe some support monetarily as far as doing all these interviews and everything else. But I guess I would start there with a proposal and look into WWA, see what kind of programs they have that might also help you. And you might actually find nonfiction groups through them as well that could, critique groups that might help.
Yeah. And Greg, if you're really ambitious, I just had an idea. Since you work at Carroll and you're pretty well connected with a lot of the brass there, that maybe you could reach out to Tim Sullivan, the dean of the new business school there, and who's generously funded $10 million of that $100 million project. And he also recently bought 5 diamonds for his other alma mater, Catholic Memorial. That maybe as part of the business school, they could establish a Carroll University Press that's well funded.
I like that
idea. Really
push that idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We throw in writing his biography, to kind of sweeten the deal, So
definitely.
I leave it to you, Greg. You're the man. You're our guy inside there at Carroll U.
Press. Yes, I like the sound of that.
I do too.
Thanks, Don. And
hey, thanks for the call, Greg. And let's cup. I owe you a coffee, so we'll catch up soon here. So, Kristin Oakley, in the final 2 minutes, what would you like to tell listeners, people of Waukesha, about Kristin Oakley that we haven't covered yet, and about writing in your books?
Well, you check out my books, of course, KristinOakley.net. And I, really appreciate Waukesha. I'm happy to be here. I have considered doing what Sarah's doing at the farmer's market, where she's got her booth set up with books. But as far as writers are concerned, and Don in particular, just finish the book. That's my main advice. You got an idea, write the book and finish it. Don't go over and over and over the first couple chapters. You won't know how it starts until you finish it, which sounds really weird, but you may change the beginning based on the ending.
Is it like a movie where you could do the ending scene, like you're filming it at the end, but the rest of the scenes haven't been done? Can you do that?
You can
jump around the book.
You could definitely write out of order. I'm not one of those writers that can do that.
Sure.
I do write in order, but then I tend to rearrange the chapters after it's written. But the main thing is just to get the book done, and you can do it.
Okay.
People have done it. It's hard. I know it's hard. But once you get it done, it's this amazing thing. So come on, Don, you can do it.
Sounds great. Thank you. Writer, instructor, Waukesha resident, Kristin J. Oakley, and her dystopian theme books, including the Devil Particle. And thanks to Max for broadcasting. Again, my guest next week, our Hector Carranza and Tyler Thrill Williams, graduates of Waukesha South football, on their way to their respective college programs. Mayor Sean Riley and his friend Bob talking the Rotary Club's Waukesha County Blues Festival coming up, and so much more. Stick around for James Santel and Atticus, a law review. Thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristin Oakley. Remember, safety is everyone's responsibility, and so is good mental health. Enjoy your Saturday, and see ya!